Hello and welcome to Education at SSBJ online video tutorials. We'll continue with few more questions as how we have done in previous two videos. Those who have not seen those videos, please go through the videos. Now in this video session, we shall pick up a few more multiple choice questions as well as NCERT textbook questions of chapter Combustion and Flame of class 8th CBSE. So we'll go ahead discussing the answers of these questions. The first question is, a student learns that power plants burns fossil fuel to produce energy. So power plants gives electrical energy after burning fossil fuel such as coal, like thermal power plant. The combustion of this fuel produces several harmful gases such as carbon monoxide, sulfur dioxide, carbon dioxide, nitrogen oxide. Right? These are the poisonous gases. Which gas produced by incomplete combustion of fuel at power plants can harm a person sleeping in a room? Right. Options are nitrogen oxide, carbon dioxide, sulfur dioxide and carbon monoxide. Now remember, when the carbon is burnt in sufficient oxygen, right? In sufficient oxygen, then we get carbon dioxide. Suppose oxygen is less and carbon has not burnt completely. There is a possibility to give a carbon monoxide as a product. So carbon monoxide is CO. Now this carbon monoxide is more poisonous. It is so poisonous that if you inhale this carbon monoxide, it will cause so much of harm to us. Even the person can die. More of this carbon monoxide comes out when the diesel or petrol is burnt in the vehicles. So if you start your vehicle in the room, it is as if that you are allowing more of deposition of carbon monoxide inside the room. That causes lot of side effects. Okay, so the answer is carbon monoxide. Next question, list conditions under which combustion can take place. This is NCERT textbook questions, right? List conditions under which combustion takes place. So for combustion we require number one, fuel, right? Combustible substance. Okay, you can call them as fuel. And next we require supporter of combustion, that is oxygen. And then third one what we require is ignition temperature. So ignition temperature. So these three are essential for the process of combustion, right? So first is combustible substance, or we can even say inflammable substance, then oxygen and ignition temperature. And what is ignition temperature? It is the lowest temperature at which substance burns, right? So that is what is the ignition temperature. Okay, for example, phosphorus P burns at 30 degrees centigrade. That is the ignition temperature of phosphorus. So we require these three, right? So answer can be, conditions under which combustion can take place are as follows. Air. Here air means oxygen, ignition temperature, and inflammable substance, that is combustible substance, or we can write it as a fuel, right? Next, it's a fill in the blanks. Burning of wood and coal causes, simple one, it's a pollution of air. Next, a liquid fuel used in home is LPG. We all know that. And what is LPG? Liquid petroleum gas, right? And what is there inside? Inside butane is there. Butane is a hydrocarbon just like a methane, right? So it burns with the help of oxygen. And why it is liquid petroleum gas? It will be actually a liquid. Under that pressure, when it is released, it comes as a gas. Fuel must be heated to its dash before it start burning. We have learnt that any material, combustible material, should reach its ignition temperature. And what is ignition temperature? Lowest temperature at which it burns. So when the substance reaches its temperature of that is called ignition temperature, it will catch a fire, right? So here we have to write ignition temperature. I'll write in short here. Fire produced by oil cannot be controlled by water. And why? Okay, you should know why fire produced by oil cannot be controlled by water. Because For example, if you mix a water and oil, can you tell me which one will be on the upper layer? Oil will be on the upper layer. And why oil will be on the upper layer? Because water is heavier. So water is heavier, so you will find water down. So the moment you pour water to bring down the ignition temperature of that oil, then the water being heavy will go down to the lower layer, and above layer there will be a oil which will continue to burn, right? So these are the answers of these questions. Next question, explain how the use of CNG in automobiles has reduced pollution. And what do you mean by automobiles? All vehicles together can be called as automobiles. And you must have seen in some of the automobiles such as auto rickshaws, CNG is being used now. What is CNG? CNG is compressed natural gas. And what does it contain? It contains methane gas. Methane is a hydrocarbon with a symbol CH4. So this is methane. So what is use of this methane being used in automobiles, right? Methane is a very cleaner fuel as compared to other available fuels such as petrol or diesel. They give out more of carbon dioxide, carbon monoxide and many other particles to the environment, which is not good. If you compare them, methane is better. We cannot say it is completely 100% clean, but it burns cleaner, okay, because it is having a lower carbon content. So first is it is a compound with lower carbon content, okay, and then it gives out least emissions, a very fewer emissions. And what do you mean by emissions? The gases which are poisonous gases which are coming out of the outlet in the vehicle, okay, so that amount is significantly less, right? So that is why CNG is used in automobiles, okay. Please remember that whenever you write answers, not to write answers in a paragraph, write it in points, give some space for every point and highlight your points, such as it is a compressed natural gas which is methane. It's very important point. It burns cleaner. And why it burns cleaner? Because it has a lower carbon content. It produces fewest emissions compared to other fuels available now, okay. CNG produces 20 to 30% fewer greenhouse gas, okay, and 95% fewer, okay, tailpipe emissions. Tailpipe emissions are the emissions which are coming out through a gas pipe. We call it as silencer, you know. For a vehicle, smoke comes out, and that is what is a tailpipe. So point to be noted here, whenever you write your points, you can alter this question on your own and write always in point and give some space and then underline the keywords. Next question, compare LPG and wood, right? You all know LPG is liquid petroleum gas, okay, which is actually a butane. Now, why is it a liquid? Please remember, when this butane is compressed or cooled down, it becomes liquid. But at room temperature and at room pressure, normal room temperature and pressure, this is available as a gas. So actually LPG is a gaseous fuel, whereas wood is a solid fuel. That is one first difference, right? It's a gaseous fuel, though it is called as a liquid petroleum gas. Please remember, it's a gaseous fuel and wood is solid. That we all know. Now, which of these will produce more smoke? Wood will produce more smoke, and LPG doesn't produce smoke, or it produces very less smoke. Third, we can compare a calorific value. So what is calorific value? Calorific value is the amount of heat, we'll recall this first, given out by a substance. But how much of substance? 1 kg of substance. So amount of heat given out by 1 kg of substance or combustible material when it is completely burned, and that is what is called calorific value, and its unit is kilojoules per kg. Now whose calorific value is more here? Calorific value of LPG is more, and how much it gives? For every 1 kg LPG will give you 55,000 kilojoules of heat, whereas wood will give you just 17,000 kilojoules of heat. LPG further can be stored in cylinders, easy to store, whereas wood requires more space. LPG causes no pollution, whereas wood causes more pollution because it produces more smoke. Well, we shall conclude here and pick up rest of the questions from NCERT textbook in next part of this video. Till then, study well, go through all the questions and prepare for your examination. See you in the next video. Thank you very much. This is a very important question. Make a labeled diagram of candle flame. If it comes in the exam, then it may be of 3 to 4 marks. So you need to require to understand what are the different parts, or we call it as zones of candle flame. Well, let us draw zones of candle flame. Zones of candle flame. Right? So when you draw this, you have to properly label it. So let us discuss on that. Let us draw the flame first. So what I do is I'll take an innermost layer of the flame and then draw a center layer and then a outside zone. Okay, when I call a layer, it's a zone. Okay, and then it's a thread, and that is over a candle. So you can just show it as a candle. Well, now the outermost part of this flame is called outer zone. In outer zone, complete combustion is possible. So here, complete combustion. And why here complete combustion? It is more exposed to oxygen outside. Okay, easily available. We know that for burning, for combustion, oxygen is required. So it is required more in quantity. So more the oxygen, so better the combustion process is. And therefore this part is hottest part. Now the next zone is middle zone. So we will label it as middle zone, where there is partial combustion is possible. And why there is a partial combustion? What do you mean by partial combustion? Partial combustion in the sense more of oxygen is not available here. So whatever substance is there is not completely burnt here in this zone. Therefore it is partial combustion, right? And it's not so hot and not so cold, so we can refer it as moderately hot. And the last one, it's the least hot, and that is what called innermost zone. And there is more of unburnt wax is available. And why more of unburnt wax? Because less of oxygen supply here, being this as the innermost zone. So generally it appears black in color, whereas it's bluish. Bluish is an indicator of hottest zone. there will be more of temperature. You can very easily test it. You can take a paper or a metal sheet and then keep over here, keep over the flame. If this is a flame, so you can keep over the flame like this, and then you will find bottom of this, on this side you will find a carbon which is formed, carbon rings which are formed, right? And what does this carbon ring suggest? These are the unburnt particles. Right? So this is what the answer. You should draw and label it properly. For the question, draw zones of candle flame. So that will carry 4 marks. Next question, name the unit in which calorific value of a fuel is expressed. So before we write answer straightway here, we'll once again revise what is calorific value. Calorific value is an amount of heat. Amount of heat given out by a combustible substance or a fuel, right? So fuel gives heat. If 1 kg of fuel, 1 kg of fuel if you take, how much of heat it comes out of after burning that fuel is what called calorific value. Let me tell you once again. Calorific value of a fuel is the amount of heat given out after the complete combustion of 1 kg. 1 kg is very important. 1 kg of a fuel. So please refer previous videos. Now, since it is per kg, right? So this is per. So since it is per kg, that is per 1 kg, or we can even write per kg, the unit of heat is kilojoules. So kilojoules per kg. So what we write, this is kilojoule is unit of heat, and this much of heat is given for every kg. So together it is kilojoules per kg. Let me tell you once again, kilojoule is the unit of heat, that is energy, right? Because heat is a form of energy, and this much of heat is coming out for every kg, and that all together is the unit of calorific value. So please remember, unit of calorific value is kilojoules per kg. We'll go for next question. This is the answer of is kilojoules per kg. So when you write here kilojoules this way, you have to read it as kilojoules per kg, right? So next question is, explain how CO2 is able to control fire. Okay, this also we have discussed in the previous videos. However, we'll see what is the answer is, and the answer should be in point. But in general, why CO2 is used? Because we know that combustion requires, fire requires oxygen to support a fire, right? So if you disconnect oxygen from fire, then fire will get off, right? So that work is done by carbon dioxide. Carbon dioxide is heavier than oxygen, right? So what happens, because of this property, if there is a fire, let's say this is a fire on certain substance here, okay, and you pour carbon dioxide gas over it, and it is already taking oxygen in the surrounding. So what happens, carbon dioxide goes down because it's heavier, and when it goes down it makes a blanket over it, a blanket of carbon dioxide. So this you can call it as a blanket of carbon dioxide. So it creates an envelope of carbon dioxide or a blanket of carbon dioxide around it, and the oxygen will get cut off, which is a supporter of combustion. That's how it controls fire. Okay, so how will you write? You have to write in points. Carbon dioxide, being a heavier than oxygen, covers the fire like a blanket, right? Since the contact between the fuel and oxygen is cut off, the fire is controlled. The added advantage of carbon dioxide is that most cases it does not harm the electrical appliances. Therefore, the carbon dioxide is used. This is what the explanation. Now next question. It is difficult to burn heap of leaves, green leaves. Now green leaves, heap. Okay. So this is a green leaves. Green leaf, but dry leaves catches fire easily because of the water content. So how does that water which is there in the green leaf, okay, if you compare to a dry leaf has no water or a minimum amount of water. It's very dry, and when it is dry it can be easily burnt. Now for burning we require ignition temperature. So any substance to burn, it reaches to a temperature, and that lowest temperature is called ignition temperature. Please remember this. Now water doesn't allow this green leaf to reach its ignition temperature, and therefore unless it reaches its ignition temperature it will not burn. So therefore it is difficult to burn a heap of green leaf, but once it is dry then it is easily can be burnt because it reaches its ignition temperature. Water stops a green leaf to reach its ignition temperature. So the answer can be the green leaves contain some water, due to which green leaves do not reach their ignition temperature. Therefore they do not catch fire easily, while dry leaves have no water. So they reach their ignition temperature faster and they catch fire easily. Next question. Which zone of flame does a goldsmith use for melting gold and silver, and why? So melting of gold and melting of silver, we require high temperature, right? Otherwise they will not melt. Melting means converting from a solid state to liquid state. Now as we know, every flame has three zones, right? The outermost zone is called a blue zone, right? It's the outer zone. Now in between there is a zone that is called a middle zone, and the last we have innermost zone. Now remember, more of oxygen from outside is available to the outer zone, and that is why outer zone is hottest. Complete combustion takes place in this zone, whereas in the middle zone partial combustion takes place and very less combustion takes place here in the innermost zone. So here more of unburnt particles will be there even in the middle zone, and therefore since the outer zone is hottest among all the three zones, it is always good to use outer zone for melting of gold and silver, right? So the answer can be a goldsmith uses outer zone, and that is the non-luminous zone. It will not appear in a yellow color. It can be a bluish, like in a LPG cylinder gives a kind of blue zone, right? It's of that color of a candle flame to melt gold and silver because it is the hottest zone and has more temperature, right? Now next question. In an experiment 4.5 kg of fuel was burnt completely. So there was a fuel, right? There was a fuel, and what is the weight of fuel? 4.5 kg, and when it is completely burnt, the heat produced was 1,80,000, right? 1,80,000 kilojoules. So what is a kilojoule? Unit of heat, right? So this much of heat energy is produced after burning 4.5 kg of fuel. Calculate the calorific value. It's very simple. And what is calorific value? Calorific value is the amount of heat given for 1 kg. Okay. Now 1,80,000 kilojoule of energy is given out for how much of kg? 4.5 kg. So we can write here, for 4.5 kg gives how much of energy? 1,80,000 kilojoules of energy. So by definition we have to find out for 1 kg. So it will be very simple calculation. 1,80,000 divided by 4.5, and that will give you 40,000 kilojoules. Understood? And this 40,000 kilojoules, when you write 40,000 kilojoules, if you write per kg, then that is the calorific value of this fuel. But remember, your answer should not end only with this number. This is the amount of heat given out, heat energy. And how do you know? It's a kilojoules here. Okay, if you want to write a calorific value, you have to write this unit. So you have to remember this. We'll end this video here. Take up few more questions in the next tutorials.